furs and food and stuff to the colonists. And they tell you about Thanksgiving. And we always thought Thanksgiving was about the raping and the pillaging of the native. Let me tell y'all the real thing about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was this. Under the Continental Congress consisted of what they call the several states. The several states at the time were the 12 colonies. And the 12 colonies came together to form one. That's number 13. So now you see how your 12 tribes of Israel, and Israel itself being the 13th tribe. So this is how you get your 13 colonies. It was 12 colonies at first. They tell us it was 13, but it was really 12 because one of the colonies encompassed all of the colonies. But really what it was, if you want to know how it really was set up, remember, no such thing as a prison before the founding of the United States of America. Prison did not exist. What do you do with your criminal element? Exile. Well, when Pietro del Negro, Peter the Black, navigated Christopher Columbus into the islands, they found a way to get rid of their undesirable elements. See, the undesirable elements took on several factors. One, they was a descendant of Orisha of the children of the moon. That means they had red hair and freckles. And they had a glowing yellow opaque skin that almost looked white. Today you would call them a Scotsman, or you would call them an Irishman. They had to get rid of them because Irish is Orisha. And the Scots come from Scotta. If you trace Scotta back, you find her in Egypt as a princess. If you trace Orisha back, you're back in sub-Saharan Africa. So now you know why Ireland and Scotland is called Europe's redhead stepchild. And you'll know why they sent St. Patrick's in there to kill off all the priests that they called snakes. How can I prove that? Well, it's simple. There is no fossil record of a snake on the island of Ireland or Scotland, period. No fossil remain of a reptile, snake. Didn't exist. What the fuck was what was St. Patrick doing then? Record of snakes in Ireland that's not a serpent on the ground, and it was called the Brotherhood of the Wise Ones, or the Brotherhoods of the Wise Serpent. And it was a priest class where the women wore a snake band around their biceps here, and the men wore a cobra around his head here, which is actually what Tupac's headband means. I'm gonna do a post to show you what my do-rag and Tupac headband is Egyptian in origin and native in origin. This is precedes European settlement. So people always wondering, why you always wearing that do-rag? And I be telling them it's holy guard. It's like a kufi to a Muslim. It's like a turban to a Hindu. It's holy guard for African or native. The same as the way Tupac wore his bandana, right? There's supposed to be a serpent band with a cobra. And I'm going to show it to y'all in the post sometime today. I'm going to pull it up. I've been intending to do it for a while. But it represents that he was the prince, not the king. He was a prince. His rank was a prince or a provincial chieftain or king. He had a king of a province, but in the overall land, he was a prince of a high rank. And you know him in the history books as King Tut, right? So earlier, my sister asked me what I meant by that being Tupac in the Revelations. And this is going into that. So Tupac was a master of a very high degree. And Tupac went on a 22-month grievance vexation campaign. What do I mean by that? If you listen to his music, he's telling a lot of what we experience in the hood. And some people say it's low vibrational and all that. And no. The way that it works, if there is no grievance vexed at the close of the age, everything stays the same. But the grievance has to be vexed by masters. The masters have to live the condition of the people in order to communicate to the final master what the problem is, where the problem is, who's the one suffering from the problem, and what do we do to correct it. And so you see the prison interview, Tupac was like, I have to say this. Y'all need to know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but if I'm not successful, this next dude, he ain't gonna have no mercy. This next dude, he ain't gonna be playing. Go back to the prison interview and watch what I'm talking about. Now, Ed Gordon, he said, look, let's not be selfish. This Tupac talking. Let's not be selfish. I'm not saying I'm the one gonna change the world. I might not change the world, but I guarantee you, I spark the brain that will change the world. In order for him to be that confident, he have to know something. You can't be that confident in sparking a brain, especially with this many idiots, buffoons, and clowns running around masquerading as conscious Negroes, and they idiots. So why was he so confident? Well, you have to go back to your African conjure. I'm not going to tell the story now, I'm going to tell it another time. But in the African conjure, before the final one comes, his little brother had to always come what they call open the way. They call him the opener of the way. So when you seen Tupac, he was the opener of the way. In there, when you go to Revelations, it talks about one of the priests of the Lord being sent into a place where he encountered what they call the prophet of Balaam. Now, in there it say that the angel of the Lord blocked the way from the ass and the prophet. Y'all remember that in the Bible, right? Now, when you go back to the story, it said that the prophet came riding in on an ass, a donkey, a mule. So the prophet, Farrakhan, hit center stage of prominence under the Democratic Party, the mule, the ass, on the campaign for Jesse Jackson. But he said there, the prophet of Balaam encountered an angel of the Lord who stood before the ass and the prophet. The prophet didn't see him at first. The ass saw him first. Jesse Jackson. Now, Tupac performed at Jesse Jackson's presidential announcement when he was running for president in 1983, and he performed Raising in the Sun, right where he met Farrakhan at. And Farrakhan didn't recognize who Tupac was at first, because remember, the ass, Jesse Jackson, knew who the fuck he was, but Farrakhan didn't know who he was at first, right? Watch what happened. The angel of the Lord, Tupac, began to scold the ass and begin to tell the prophet certain things, right? So now, this is Tupac. Now, it's one part of the prophecy I'm going to mention, then I'm going to wrap it up after this, because this is almost the second hour, and I'm only supposed to get like 15 minutes on this one. But my sisters got me kind of pumped up, and I couldn't stop. Oh, there go my Israel Tabera. I see you, girl. I've been waiting on you. Most of y'all don't know. Might tell you something else. Every time you put on the bandana, you feel invincible. Malcolm X self-sacrificed to save Elijah Muhammad in order to make this whole process work, because Wallace didn't want to do his part. Muhammad Muhammad, son of the messenger, is the reason why Malcolm did, not Farrakhan, not Elijah, not John Muhammad, not Clarence 13X. Whoa, I love seeing these brothers finding their family on here. That's some heartfelt stuff right there. Whoa. Wow. I believe you my Uncle Eddie's son. Get the hell out of here. Okay, so I'm not gonna give y'all too much more on Tupac. Last thing I'm gonna tell y'all about Tupac before I cut out of here is this. It was made to appear as if he had been slain, but he had not. It only appears as such. That's how it was written when I read it. So Tupac went on a 22-month grievance vexation, but it takes 22 years of manifestation for that master to reach the next master, because each master has to be raised to a certain level before the next or the last master can pass the baton. Yeah, India, they always doing that to me. But I want you, and I want Israel Tabera to listen to this video, because I talked about how the sisters got to start meeting and knowing what their roles and responsibilities gonna be. And anybody that won't free gonna have to be in it, because it's only one way to get us free, and that's flip this fucking grid. All of this stuff that I tell y'all, if y'all need a reference, just let me know. Yeah, Mazel. So you will look on my post and you'll see the mirror effect. You'll see Tupac doing this, and you'll see a gorilla doing this. In between them, you'll see that I'm telling you about a mirror. It's a reason. Ain't not a single post on my page haphazard. You can go back to the very first post I made ever on Facebook, and you will not find me just talking about I was eating the ice cream cone at the mall and it's Saturday. You're not going to find none of them. Only thing you'll find is a whole bunch of blank spots where I didn't say nothing. Boom, I hit you with a seed. Then as you start getting closer to now, you're going to see the intensity of the post pick up. Not only is the intensity, but the depth of content is also going to pick up. And not only that, it's going to start identifying nouns, people, places, and things at the end times. what they did, when they did it, how they did it. All this got to come out. It's all got to be revealed, and all of the imposters got to be exposed. So y'all can sit here. Fuck no, he ain't in Cuba. He in South Central. He in LA. He at home. Y'all ain't see him at. Look, I'm gonna give you a bone. Tupac was at Coachella when they did the video of the hologram. He was physically human, flesh and blood present and watched it from backstage. One. Second bone. All Eyes on Me premiere. He was with Shock G the whole fucking night. Go look it up and find him. Right before your very eyes, you won't even realize you can't see me. He there. Tupac been dropping motherfucking Facebook videos talking like I am now, and y'all didn't even know it was him. Y'all thought it was a white boy. So win without H.P. Blavatsky. We couldn't win without Aleister Crowley or Franz Bardone or Manly P. Hall or Charles Tazez Russell and Joseph B. Rutherford, Mary Baker Eddy. We couldn't win without them. Because they gave exhaustive analysis to the doctrine of the church and the secret societies in order for us to have a comprehensive record of what these motherfuckers was doing to us behind the scenes. Right? So Madame Blavatsky bring the keys to the Seven Sisters to the Blue Lodge that she went into the enemy's lodge and got out because she was told by some of Enki's children called high cellists that they needed her to get in and get this information and put it in the public domain. But the only thing is, Madame Blavatsky wasn't pale-skinned Russian. She was chocolate.
That's right. She's a mulatto, and she loved to have interactions with dark-skinned Nubian men. And she loved to get that big Mandingo dropped on her, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, man, quit talking about my girl, Madame Blavatsky.
Hey, right? Look, she fell in love. She fell in love with, see how they got the information. It was a being that incarnated that was the name Azabuk El. He reincarnated as El Moroi. El Moroi hooked up with Madame Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky got the hots for him. He started knocking her down, and then he started teaching her some of the ancient mystic art of science. And then Saint Bernard or Saint Germain them was in with it. With the it's just a picture of them online of all four of them on the picture with El Moroi standing in the background. He was one of the ascended masters that came with the from the mystic order of Melchizedek, and he's one of the considered, as they talking about, the three wise men, right? But he supposedly taught Velasquez that the thrill society or whatever they call themselves. That doctrine is really ancient Kemetic science and really Tahuti doctrine. It's really Hermetic principles and Tahuti doctrine. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the reference she gave, like the Book of Zion and different stuff, Western scholars didn't accept them because they was ancient scrolls from India.
Yeah.
This is where Enki stored all of the earth records at.
Okay, I'm with you.
Enki's priests became known as Shaolin priests over time in China, and they became known as Buddhist monks over in India.
Okay.
Right. And a lot of his spiritual teachings come passed off as the incarnation of Siddhartha. Right. And but there's really another incarnation of Enki. And Enki was, if you really examine what's taking place, he's trying to study that when the Anunnaki leave, right? This is what the Buddha really doing when they talk about he's seeking enlightenment.
Okay.
He take on the human form to find out the extremes of the human body. The Anunnaki put on the suit of Siddhartha, and he lived the life of a prince in luxury. He decided that the luxury has to be tempered by something, or it spoils the benevolent nature of the being by creating a certain errant character. So he goes out into the community to live in poverty among the paupers of the land. This is the extreme polar opposite. Now, if he can assimilate into the pauper lifestyle after coming from such luxury, this is total application of willpower and discipline. Right? So the first lesson of the Buddha is it takes great discipline to become an enlightened individual, a Buddha. Great discipline is the first one. The second one is you have to utilize your own willpower to overcome the conditions that the external life put in front of you in order to get the life that you want the external life to present you with. Right? So then he goes through these extremes, these meditating, and he understands something about the mind. The mind is psychomal, it's erratic. If you don't learn to control the mind, then you won't be able to control your lower base nature as an animal, and you can't live as a divinity amongst animals as opposed to an animal amongst divinities. So control of the mind